Why hiring the cheapest DUI attorney will cost you in the end. This is Christina Williams with Just Criminal Law.
And David Mann's legal storytelling specialist. Okay, so it's a cheap lawyer can cost you in the end. What's maybe the first way it costs you?
Sure. If you get an attorney who doesn't necessarily know how to protect you or how to defend you, there's always the possibility that you're looking at jail time. So with any criminal charge, and depending on your circumstances, you may end up spending more time in jail. And so the first way is literally the fear of going to jail and the cost of not being at work. So I would say, worst case scenario, that's going to be a consequence.
All right. So the time in jail costs you from not working. Would there be other money consequences that would happen potentially from having a lawyer that just doesn't know what they're doing?
Sure. So now you're going to have to look at high risk insurance, right? So that's a 3-year period, which is very surprising to people. You're going to have to carry that insurance with a conviction with somebody who's not successful in getting you a good deal or getting the case dismissed. So you've got that long-term expense, and then potentially an interlock device where you have to blow into it in order to start your car. You're going to need to do counseling, and that's never cheap. So there's the potential to do treatment, I guess, or counseling. And then there is also, the court costs, that is the fines that go along with it. So there's all those things that eventually really start to pile up.
So that's all going to happen if the lawyer that you work with doesn't know how to get you through all that and sort of not get the conviction. Is that right?
Right. Or get a deal that maybe does away with some of those costs or those consequences. So knowing the ins and outs of what to ask for, of, how to counter an offer. That is, the prosecutor will always say, this is my original offer out of the gate. And, if you have an attorney that's really interested in protecting you, fighting for you, and has the experience to know what to ask for in a counteroffer, then that's going to put you way ahead of the game as well.
Okay, so what are some things that you've maybe, just an example of something typical that you've done in the past that sort of comes up a lot that has gotten your clients to, freedom in this way?
Sure. So what a lot of people don't understand is that a DUI has a lot of moving parts. It's a technical criminal case. And so you have to know where to look for mistakes. And, if anything was done improperly during the investigation and after the arrest, during the breath test or the blood test, we are routinely able to spot those issues and file motions and get the right expert in front of the judge or the right witness or cross-examine the law enforcement officer and get the case dismissed. That is, best case scenario for the client is we recognize what went wrong and we know how to get dismissal.
Yeah, okay. So I think sometimes people might just hire a DUI lawyer to, in a sense, kind of hold their hand in court, right? They don't, I'm going to get a cheap lawyer, but they're also not going to do anything except stand next to me. Is that fair enough?
Right. So, if you're getting a less expensive attorney, it's usually because they don't have the experience or they're not going to do the work. And, they're at the end of the day, you pay now or you pay later. And with a less experienced attorney, they're not going to recognize what to throw up as hurdles for the prosecutor, when to ask for a dismissal. They are essentially going to walk into court with you, stand by you, and make sure that you answer the court when the court asks you a question. They're not really going to be there to protect you. And so, that's basically like throwing money down the drain, even if it is less expensive than the more experienced attorney.
I suppose with your experience, too, the prosecutors sort of see you coming, right?
Absolutely. Our office files more motions than any office, and that's because we're not afraid to let the prosecutor know, hey, this is wrong with your case. And so with that in mind, sometimes all we have to do is mention, hey, your officer did this incorrectly. How about we plead this down? Or how about you consider a deferral? And, again, the motions are sometimes less strong than others, but the prosecutor recognizes when we have a valid point, and they recognize that we'll be able to articulate that to the judge, and they may be looking at a dismissal. So with that in mind, we get better plea offers.
That sounds awesome. So if someone finds themselves in the unfortunate predicament of having a DUI, they're going to need to call you. And how do they do that?
We'll include a link in the description where they can call, text, or chat with a member of our team anytime, day or night. Here at Just Criminal Law, we know you only get one shot at justice, so make yours count.